Charane Rati Ese Utamagati Arana koi omane asa Arana koi omane asa Charane gati jese puja sasa Charane jese gati jai prasade pure sarva asa Jai prasade purve sarva asa Chakudara dhino de jamme jamme prabhu se Divya jadhida praprasito Prema bhakti ahoti avinati nasarati Vedega jahara charito Vedega jahara charito Shri Guru Charuna Sindhu Adana Charana Bandhu Lokranath Lokrana Jivana Oh Lokranath Lokrana Jivana Aha Prabhu Koro Doyo Deho More Prada Jaya Aha Prabhu Koro Doyo Jayo More Prada Jaya Ebedai Krishna Trivana Ebedai Trivana Bhavana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Oh Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
So everybody should clap your hands and dance with us. Don't be shy.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatarya Satarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama. Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Radha, Radhanata Radha, Radhanata Radhe. Jaya Radha, Radhanata Radha, Radhanata Radhe. Nittai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Gacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Gacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavind Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की. वृंदावन धाम की. मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की. नीलाचल जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की. गंगामय जमुनामय की. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की. The Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki. Lordships Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki. Lordship Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Hari Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's Sunday Love Feast program. A special welcome to anyone who may be joining us for the first time today. Our speaker for today is His Grace Smita Krishna Das, and the topic is the Supreme Occupation, Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Smita Krishna Prabhu has been a devoted member of ISKCON for over 3 decades, and he has served in various capacities, including spiritual teacher, outreach collaboration, and curriculum development. He's made invaluable contributions to the Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture, and he continues to inspire and motivate students of the college. Apart from spiritual pursuits, Smita Krishna Prabhu is outside here, he's known as Dr. S. Ramson, and he has been a respected lecturer at UKZN. Currently, he is spreading his wisdom and expertise at Varsity College in the School of Education. We welcome Smita Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hey. Thanks so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Lots of people are in Phoenix today for His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj's Sri Vyasa Puja. So at 12:30, I'm going to just leave immediately to go for the Guru Puja at 1 there. Alanath Prabhu, you can have somebody do that kirtan at 12:30. How many of you are coming for the first time today? Let's see, by show of hands. Oh, that's wonderful. How many of you are coming for the second time? How many of you lost count? Please feel welcomed. Can you hear that harmonium in the speaker? Harmonium volume, wireless. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki Shri Giri Govardhan ki Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Go Premanande. Thank you very much to everybody for attending the Sunday Love Feast program. And we'd like to ask everybody to try and bring one new person with you every time you come. Speak to your friends, your neighbors, relatives. Tell them that there's a wonderful program. Get such beautiful darshan of the deities. Aren't the deities so beautiful? Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. So we see more and more how beautiful the deities are being dressed. exquisite. So benedict your friends and family. Ask them, somebody, one new person, bring them along to the temple. And Krishna will also be pleased with you for doing that. So we're going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam today. The title of the class is The Supreme Occupation and Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we want to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, discuss a few things from there. And I like the class to be interactive, so I'm going to ask you some questions also. So before we begin and before I focus on Bhagavatam, I want to ask you those questions. So we need this remote, this wireless mic. Shivi, would you be able to take it around? So I want you to consider the world situation, and we find that there seems to be an increase in stress, chronic fatigue, psychosomatic illnesses related to chronic fatigue and stress, depression, increase in high blood pressure, increase in strokes, increase in digestive issues, body pains, backache, cervical spondylosis, you name it, there's such an increase in all of these things. So the question I want to ask is, why do you think people are feeling an increase in stress and fatigue? Everybody you speak to, they'll tell you, I'm tired, so tired. The students are tired, people going to work, they're tired. Everybody just seems to be so tired. So, Shivir, you can take that microphone around. My question is, what are the possible reasons? Why are people feeling like this? Let's see. Some answers? There's somebody's hand going up on that side. Let's introduce yourself, Malji, and give your possible answer.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Shireen Giraj. In my opinion, I feel that in this fast-paced environment that we live in, a lot of people are moving away from their roots and inherently spirituality, whatever form that might be, whatever form that might take that you believe, whether it's the chanting of the mantra, whether it's meditation, whether it's just ritualistic worship, but we don't find time for that in the day. We don't set aside time, and actually what that allows us to do is give us me time and time with the Supreme Lord. And in that time that we have with the Supreme Lord, it re-energizes our soul, our Atma, because we are, from the morning till night, we are constantly rushed in all the things that we do. So if we take, a break, if you yourself are energized, you can meet whatever commitments you have for the day, in whatever sense of state of health that you are. But from that, you yourself are taking and making the attempt to put yourself first with God amongst all the other duties and tasks that you have for the day. So that's basically my opinion. I find that works well for me, and it helps me cope, and it's actually a coping mechanism that I find that works for a lot of people that I speak to.
Thank you very much. Okay, Malji. Give Malji a round of applause for her participation. Prabhu is an answer.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In our country there is an unprecedented rate of unemployment. It stands at 40% at the moment, and this will naturally lead to a lot of
Hold
stress.
the mic a little closer.
This will naturally lead to a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and this can cause health issues. And what I have noticed that in these challenging times, in the morning when you chant the holy name, before venturing out into the outside world, your day seems to go well. So our Krishna consciousness needs to be put in front, which helps us to cope with our everyday problems. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Is there one more person who'd like to answer? If you, right there on the Umamati. Okay. So the question I've asked was, what is the reason for this kind of increase we're seeing in the world in chronic fatigue, stress, which has its debilitating effect on health?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I would like to endorse that which the previous two speakers have mentioned already. But in addition to that, if one looks at, let's start at primary school or even secondary school, you'd find that the academic demands are absolutely overwhelming, leaving children as well highly stressed and with hardly any time to focus on, especially spirituality or reconnecting with the Lord. So that is one of the other challenges that we face. The other that I'd like to add is that of basic lack of respect for each other. Whether one is in the work environment or perhaps in the home environment, you would find that it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to work together harmoniously or to show respect. So it goes back to our teachings of humility. And I think that is where, we need to reach out to people out there that are experiencing these challenges to show them that there is love and respect. And living in South Africa, it is even more demanding, like Prabhu has mentioned, the unemployment, and together with that comes rivalry, competitiveness, etc. And this expounds the challenges. So, like Mataji Shireen has said, that, we have to strengthen the spirituality and strengthen that reconnection with the Supreme Lord. And that is going to be our saving grace. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much to all of you, those who responded. Welcome. You may come in. Sure. One of the devotees can make him feel comfortable. Thank you very much for visiting. So three of you have analyzed some of the reasons that are causing such an increase in the stress levels and distress of society. And the living entity, you and I, the people in society generally, are bombarded by a lot of global events that are taking place. We see poor examples of leadership who are using their power to exploit and manipulate peoples, creating wars, creating divisions. So the ordinary person feels overwhelmed and tossed in an ocean of helplessness. So that increases. The increasing materialism of the world, which manifests itself through work demands, meeting goals, meeting deadlines, all for the sake of profit. They force the living entity to engage beyond their capacities and they stress from that. There's also the culture of increasing sense gratification, instant gratification. Everybody wants it like that. So when that is not satisfied, not fulfilled, then people react. And therefore we see an increasing impatience amongst people. You know, you got this Instagram, right? So I was thinking about it, maybe somebody can do a satire on it and put the gram in and put a T. Instagrat. I don't have the desktop tools to do that, but if somebody can, I'd really like that. Instagrat. That's what it is. Immediately, whatever you're doing, any part of the world, it's out there in the media. People are seeing you're creating an artificial type of expectation for other people, and they feel disappointed, depressed, they can't achieve those things. It creates a greed. So there's this constant badgering of the living entity, and we are seeing this increase in stress. So let us see what Srimad Bhagavatam has to say about it and what Srila Prabhupada says. Before we recite Bhagavatam, we always chant an invocation. Narayanam namaskritam naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswati vyasa tato jaye udiraye Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nitam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhakti bhavati naistake Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6. The chapter is titled Divinity and Divine Service, and the verse is Savapum samparo dharma yato bhakti radokshaje ahaituke apratihata ya yatma shuprashidati. The translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the purport that follows. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Please repeat the translation. Or maybe let us do the Sanskrit because it's purifying. Sa vai pumsam parodharma yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahoituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati suprasidati. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which mankind can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this statement, Sri Sutta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that the fallen people or the people in general may easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called pravritti marg, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called nivritti marg, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of life. Actual life is spiritual existence, or Brahma Bhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There's just the futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all-cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for the ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, that is, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of the devotional service of the Lord, without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. There you go to play. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namah. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Everybody. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangam langayate girim, yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. So, the purport, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying to the verse, I'll repeat the verse, the supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, in this statement, in this verse, Sutta Goswami is answering the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. So the context is that after Parikshit Maharaj resigned as the king and retired to the banks of the Ganga, then in that arena entered Sukadev Goswami, who became the speaker of Bhagavatam, responding to the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. First question Parikshit Maharaj is asked, what should a man who is dying do? So Parikshit Maharaj is cursed to die within 7 days, the curse of a Brahmin boy. But he accepted it as a arrangement of providence, of Krishna's arrangement, and retired to the bank of the Ganga. And in that assembly, great sages came because they knew a great event is about to take place. Gathering of great sages. And those sages were not all bhakti yogis. There were different sages, different people. Jnana yogis, karma yogis, impersonalists. They were all there. Astanga yogis. So Sukadev Goswami then speaks Bhagavatam, and you'll see he explains systematically all the yogas to go through Srimad Bhagavatam to come to the 10th canto, in which Bhakti Yoga. So he acknowledges the yogas, but in the end shows the superiority of Bhakti Yoga. And in that way preaches to all the sages that yes, you're okay, you're doing, but the highest thing is the summum bonum is Krishna consciousness. So in that assembly was Sutta Goswami. And Sutta Goswami heard and imbibed the teachings. And he then left after Parikshit Maharaj left. Then he wandered. And he came to the forest of Naimisharanya. Naimisharanya had gathered, I think it said 88,000 sages. And they were performing a yajna. So Kali Yuga has now begun. And just before Kali Yuga, even 1,000 years before that, these sages had seen with their prophetic vision the onslaught of the Kali Yuga, and that how this age will be so degraded, so fallen. People will not have any qualities to practice spiritual life. And therefore they began a yajna, a havan, thinking that that sacrifice will stop the effect of the approaching Kali Yuga. But that is not the process for this age. So therefore it was not effective. They could not. So after they had finished their morning ablutions and the fire. Ta ekada munya rishayeshik sunagdaya. Sadkritam sutam ashanam prapachur idam adharat. So, ta ekada, one day, the munis, the rishis, ta ekada to munya, they pratar hata hatagniya, after they have performed their morning duties, their havan, sadkritam sutam ashinam, the asan, they gave to Sutta. Sutta had come, so immediately the sages woke up, headed by Shonak Muni. They approached him and said, "You please occupy the asan, and you tell us." So they began asking him questions, because they knew he was present and had imbibed the teachings. The sages, they offer their praise to Sutta Goswami, and they acknowledge his qualification, and therefore they gave him the asan to speak. Rishya ucha tvaye kalo puranani seti hashani chanaga akyatani api aditani dharma shastani yani uta. So they praised Sutta Goswami. They said, "You are qualified in all of the Puranas, and Chana, you are personally qualified in all of the good qualities of a devotee. You have listened to all the great speakers, the sages, and you've imbibed those teachings. So now you, please, tell us what is the ultimate good for the common man." So this is the statement. In this statement, Sutta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Namashara. That was the first question after placing him on it. So this is how now Sutta Goswami is asking. The sages had asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part, so the fallen people of this age, fallen people or people in general, might take it up. So within the entire Vedic canon, there are different paths that are given for different types of mentalities of people. Because everybody is not on the path of pure devotional service. You see in our communities, people at different levels of spiritual practice. Many are engaged in spiritual practice for the purposes of acquiring resources, wealth, health, good situations, for the sake of what Prabhupada says in the purport, pravritti marg, that is the path of sense enjoyment. So the Vedas, they give directions how to do this and do it properly. You see, if you engage in sense enjoyment in this world, if you want to engage in acquiring wealth and other sense enjoyment, the Vedas are not against that. They actually say that you should do it, but do it in a proper way. So this section of the Vedas is called Karma Kanda, fruitive activities. So you could say that the Vedas are very user-friendly. According to the mentality of people, certain prescriptions are given. So if you want to enjoy wealth, you want money, there's two ways we can do it, right, in this world. We can go and steal it, which many people do, South Africa especially. But then, what happens? Inevitably you are caught, and you're jailed, and you're punished. Well, we hope at least that's how the law is meant to work. So you're punished. So you acquire the sense object of your senses, but you did it the wrong way. And the other way would be to honestly try and acquire. It may take a little longer, but it's your honest work. So similarly, the Vedas in the Karma Kanda section, they will allow you to engage through prescription in the worship of the Devas. And in this way, you will get the results of your worship. But it is so set up that the ultimate beneficiary, who is the ultimate beneficiary in all of these yagyas? Yes, and in his form as Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna's expansion, Vishnu is the ultimate beneficiary in all of those sacrifices. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvalokameshwar. Suridham sarve bhutanam nyadvamam shantim richiti. That Krishna is the beneficiary of all the sacrifices and austerities. In his form as Vishnu, he accepts that worship. So those involved in Karma Kanda, then eventually, because Vishnu is the ultimate beneficiary of the sacrifice, they will build up what is called punya. Even if they don't know it, the sukriti, they will build up the sukriti. And it may take this life, it may take a few lives, but then ultimately they will progress because they build up enough of that. So the Vedas are very, very cleverly arranged to enable the living entity. So to acquire this happiness in the world, the Vedas allow you to do that. But there is a difference between understanding happiness and joy. The word happiness in Sanskrit is sukh, sukha, sukh. Opposite is dukh. And the joy or the bliss beyond the material enjoyment is ananda. Now the Vedas are teaching us how to come to this platform. So it's a very, very logical, systematic structure is given. So there are 6 philosophical schools by which one gradually evolves. And the first one, the karma, practically they are in 3 categories known as karma, kanda, gyan, and bhakti. So the Vedas are teaching us to come to the platform of karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. So the living entity who is involved in this karma kanda, they go on enjoying the facilities they receive, or even they do not receive sometimes. Eventually, that living entity still feels a void in the heart. That I'm doing all this, I'm getting all these material benefits, all of these material resources. I've had everything. I've had the greatest wealth, I had the greatest family, I've had the greatest facilities, and still, I'm not satisfied. Something, as Prabhupada says, a pinprick in the weave of civilization. That pinprick, you can have everything, but you get pricked with a pin, it's most uncomfortable. So something is missing. And this living entity may acquire the facilities lifetime after lifetime, but then still he has to suffer birth, old age, disease, death, birth, old age, disease, death. That you can't get away from no matter what material facility you have. And that living entity then thinks, why did I have everything, but my money could not save my child. My money could not save my husband, my wife. I now have cancer, all my money, I can't get any cure. So the living entity starts to think. And that is when we come to the platform of Atato Brahma Jignasa. Spiritual inquiry. Why am I suffering? Why there is suffering? Why there is birth, old age, disease, death? So from that level, Karma Kanda, which is also known as Purva Mimamsa, then another category of philosophy is Nyaya. Nyaya means logic. So the person starts to logically try to understand that I've done all of this, but still there's birth, old age, disease there. So there's some kind of evolution in the consciousness happening. After making these logical arguments that no matter what I had, what facility I had, still there's birth, old age, disease and death. That brings about another category of philosophy known as Vaisheshika. And in this philosophy, the practitioners of this philosophy, they are busy analyzing the material world. They come to the point where they understand that everything is just atomic. It's called atomic theory. Everything, you, I, carpet, table, everything is just a matter of atoms. So the identity, therefore, is not as what we witness it and what we see it. Beyond all of this, it's just all atoms arranged in particular ways. So that then enables them to come to the platform of trying to analyze this world. If everything is just atomic, then let us try and understand it. And it brings them to the platform of Sankhya. Sankhya from the word Ashankyate, to enumerate, to count. So they analyze. So these are our modern scientists. They're analyzing the world into its constituents. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhumi Rapo Anulavaya Kam Mano Bhudir Evacha. This 8 Bhina Prakritir Astada, these 8 elements are found in this world. The earth, water, fire, air, ether are the gross elements, and this is what our scientists are dealing with. You go into any laboratory, any class in the school. Who are the science students here? What's in the back on the wall? Normally they put a big poster there. Periodic table. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. I think one science teacher in the back there. Balaram Prabhu. Alright? Everything analyzed. Table of elements. So the scientists have analyzed. But the Sankhya philosophers, they go one more. When they analyze this world, they find that the world, the experience that they're having, is dependent on the I. There has to be a person to experience it. And that person is not to be found amongst the elements. And therefore, they think it is coming from another dimension. And that I is the spirit soul who experiences the elements. So from that, then that leads them to think, okay, so if these are the elements that are all just dead, and there has to be another element to actually experience that, how do I connect to that? How do I find that? So they enter into the next field of philosophy as yoga, Astanga yogis. So the Astanga yogis, they meditate inwards to try to find who they are, the spirit soul. If they perfect that, then they will witness the Paramatma in the heart. They will see the expansion of Krishna in the heart. But at that point, it is still very neutral. When they become exposed then to the platform of devotional service, those yogis can become devotees. And then they enter into the next level of philosophical platform, Uttama Mimamsa, which is devotional service. So these 6 philosophies are there, and there is a gradual elevation of consciousness over time and over lifetimes. But the one who has become a devotee now, you must know that you've been through all of them. You're no more a Sankhya yogi, you're not enumerating. You're not an Astanga yogi. You're not sitting and meditating. You're engaged in devotional service. So, in this way, we can see that the living entity, through normal processes of evolution, will come to this platform over time. But why take the ladder when the elevator is available? And that elevator is the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the living entity in this world, being bombarded by all the demands of the material nature, which has been manifested in all of these things that you spoke about in the beginning, that you answered: work, unemployment, so many conditions in the material world. The living entity is experiencing a identity crisis. It's referred to as dissonance, identity crisis, because thinking that they are the body, based on that, they're enjoying in this material world, or trying to enjoy, lifetime after lifetime. So that living entity then is bombarded with all of these demands from the material world, and there's an increasing identity confusion. And therefore, more and more, we are feeling the effects of the material nature, because we are not connecting with who we are. And it's very simple. Prabhupada gave us a simple solution to that. Many of you are working, many of you have worked, and so on. The Vedas, they don't say don't work, but they say work for Krishna. It's about the proprietorship of what you're doing. Right? The whole idea is about proprietorship. If you think you are in control, this is your wealth, you are generating by your effort, everything's happening, then that's your own independence and sense of proprietorship. But if you engage in all your activities thinking that everything is by Krishna's arrangement, then in that way you are dovetailing even your consciousness to Krishna, and that is what we mean by Krishna consciousness. The living entity, we spoke about the gross elements, but now on the subtle element. What are the subtle elements? 3: mind, intelligence, and false ego. So in the subtle body of the living entity, also the mind is very, very central to all our experiences. How we deal, how we respond with what we've been exposed to is what will make the difference to whether we are stressed or distressed. In Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada explains how that subtle body is encased in 5 levels of experience. In the academic circles, somewhere in school or university, wherever you might have been, you would have heard of a philosopher or a psychologist known as Maslow. Nash, you heard of him? What was his idea?
Hierarchy of needs.
Tell us a little about, if you can remember.
I think I remember the Annamaya stage, more like if you can't even, if you don't have enough food to eat, you can't elevate yourself to higher levels of like for example, self-realization or self-actualization is on the top, but you're not going to get there if you don't even have enough food to eat and other basic needs, and then other needs which I forget what was in between. But yeah.
Thank you very much. So the psychologist Abraham Maslow is very famous. Not necessarily that we have to accept his thinking, but he has a very, I'd say, probable explanation. He says that the greatest needs that we have are called basic needs: food, shelter, water, electricity. So the basic needs. And then it goes up in a form of a pyramid. So where there are different levels of needs, and as you satisfy each level of your need, then only at the top can you focus on what is called self-actualization, try to discover who you are, etc. That's a plausible explanation, because somebody who is very distressed in terms of food, clothing and shelter may not make the time or be distracted from giving the time to sitting and chanting and meditating. But his idea of self-actualization at the top is not a spiritual one. It's a material one. It's about finding yourself as a so-called developed entity in this world. But it seems that that theory of his has been taken from the Vedas, because Srila Prabhupada explains this, that there are also these levels of development, Anamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, 5 levels. And the Anamaya, Ana is, what's Ana? What's Ana? Grain, food. So Ana. At that level, the person is very focused on acquiring food. Ana. Then Pranamaya is about shelter and security. Manomaya is about now using your mental faculties to do things. Vijnanamaya, you're at a stage of liberation, like the Jnanis and the Yogis. And Anandamaya, see, I started in the beginning, I said there's Sukh and there's Ananda. So Anandamaya has to do with the bliss of Krishna consciousness. So in this way, the living entity progresses until he or she comes to the level of practicing Krishna consciousness. Now, if we do not come to this platform, if we do not come to this platform of accepting and practicing the process of Krishna consciousness through the chanting of the holy name as a regular activity, as a daily practice, as a set of prescribed rounds, at a set time even, then you'll find that you'll become buffeted by the turbulence of this material nature. When you go around, you'll find people are always complaining of things. They are buffeted. I don't know, I was just writing something this morning. I don't know what it is, maybe it's my face or my demeanor, but wherever I go, people don't even know me, they will tell me their problems. I get into a lift from the 5th floor to the bottom, I know what happened to the person. I don't know what it is. I stopped at the garage petrol station the other day. A guy was filling my fuel, and he came to talk to me and gave me his whole life story. And after filling the fuel, he kept speaking to me. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear of your situation, but I'll pray for you, and I have to go. So everywhere, it's like people are just distressed, everything. But then, when you encounter a devotee, and even those who are not in devotional service, When they see the devotee, then they say, "You're looking so peaceful. How? Why are you so calm? How?" And we notice that, right? Those who are practicing devotional service properly, they have the calm demeanor about themselves, and they radiate what we say, the effulgence of the advanced devotees, right? We see that with our gurus and all that. So, despite the challenges that come about on the material platform, they are still very, very equipoised. And we ourselves have to take the example from that. We have to become very, very fixed in our chanting. And, this is like I'm preaching to myself practically. We have to be very, very steady in it. And therefore, we'd like to encourage devotees to please come together, at least on the weekends. Come for Mangal Arati. Sometimes I come, I also live out. But then now the temple facility, you can even come stay here. They've got some guest rooms, I think 3 and 4 star guest rooms now. You can stay there. And come with your family, join the Mangal Arati, chant together, recharge batteries, go back to do that. Once or twice I came, I took a photograph of the car park. One lonely car in the car park, or maybe 2 because mine was there, and then just one. So we need you to come back. Jai Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we want to engage in the supreme occupation, which Srila Prabhupada translates the word dharma as supreme occupation. So we talk about dharma, people have different ideas of dharma, but dharma, according to Srila Prabhupada, is the supreme occupation. And what is that supreme occupation? Is to be engaged in devotional service that is ahaituki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. And then that is where you will be completely satisfied. So we're going to that. So this process will enable us. It's step by step. We all are not on the pure platform. But by engaging with it, taking shelter of the association of devotees, chanting Hare Krishna together, serving together. We saw the Back to Godhead team today. They were packing. It's like amazing. I don't know, 30, 40 devotees all packing back to Godhead. They are sending people back to Godhead by that service. So we can just be together, come together. This is a collective movement. We have to come together, take strength from each other, and then be completely satisfied. So thank you very much. I won't have time for questions because I'm going to scoot to the Guru Puja in New Jagannath Puri temple. Thank you for your kind attention and giving me the opportunity for some devotional service. You may rise for the Artik now. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Shri, thank you. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna,
Gaur
dear
Premanande
devotees.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, Prabhu, for a practical and insightful class. Today's prasadam was prepared by the Port Shepstone Namahata, which is led by His Grace Priyavrata Das. Devotees, prasadam will be served in the white marquee at the bottom from 1 to 1:45 p.m. Prasadam team would like volunteers to assist them, and we look forward to this. You can contact Dayal Chaitanya Prabhu in this regard. 2023 sponsorships for festivals is now open, so you can contact the sponsorship office between 10 o'clock and 3 p.m. every day, or after hours on the TCK line. Devotees, Janmashtami is coming up in September, and the theme for Janmashtami this year is service to Krishna. So in keeping with Prabhu's class, devotional service, you have an opportunity. Watch out on social media for these opportunities, and let's build up to Janmashtami with that theme of service to Krishna. We'll now continue to observe Aarti and Kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Baskatya Deshatarini. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Radha Nath Raja Radha Nath Radha Jaya Radha Radha Nath Raja Radha Nath Radha Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gauranitai Nita, Gora Nita, Jaya Gora Nita. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Vivita founder Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotar Sata Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. ISKCON Vatmana Guru Vrindi ki. Anantakori Vaishnava Vrindi ki. Prem Sukho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shari Gaura Bhakta Vrindi ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Giriraj Govardhan ki. Jagannath Balaram Subhadra Maharani ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki. Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Nilachal Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai ki. Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi ki. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi ki. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasringaya Pralada Lada Daine Pralada Lada Daine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Silatankanakalaya Silatankanakalaya Ito nishringa parato nishringa ito nishringa parato nishringa yato yato yamitato nishringa yato yato yamitato nishringa vahe nishringa hridaye nishringa vahe nishringa hridaye nishringa narashringamadhim saranam prapade narashringamadhim saranam prapade davakara kamalabhare nakam adbhuta shringa dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringa keshavadrita narahari rupa jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare keshavadrita narahari rupam jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare Jaya Nisringadev, 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 Jaya Nisringadev. Jaya Nisringadev, 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 Jaya Nisringadev. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.